Good evening, Wrestle Talk Show fans. I am again your host, Joshua Zimmerman, here again with my colleague, co-host, and wrestling insider, James Kincade. How we doing tonight, Jim?
Very good.
Good. And before we go off the air for the night and stop posting videos, as I see that already within minutes of posting some of the videos recently, a couple of you have been following the channel and seen that I updated. So we want to thank our YouTube subscribers, thank our friends at FreeWebs for helping us out with the design of the website, which we're proud to say is WrestleTalkShow.webs.com, and you can check that out for all the latest videos. I'll be adding the newer three sometime within the next 24 hours. Well, I'll just say the next 12 hours. And just different stuff like that. You can help us support the show, and your feedback helps us do just that. We do this just to open up a forum, an unbiased forum. Right now, it's clear if you've been watching that we really don't care for. We have a favorite, but we really don't care for how either brand's doing it. Uh, but today we're going to step aside since we've been doing a lot of one and two parters. We're going to step aside and discuss spoilers in wrestling. Now, in my opinion, a wrestling fan is defined as someone who, not to completely mark it out, but someone like my colleague Jimmy who doesn't want to see it any earlier than when it, or hear about it until it happens. That's the element of surprise. This is what you fans have bitched about over the years. There's no element of surprise. Well, how can there be when everybody, just to start this rant, everybody's the first to jump on, and I'm not saying review shows don't do it because sometimes they're as guilty of it as you guys are, but let the show play out. Don't be so quick to offer the spoilers, because then, of course, the easy way out would be, oh, well, I can get the skim and I don't have to watch the show. Not saying that wrestling should uh, not have to do on its own, but you, the fan, could actually impact the outcome of some of these storylines if some of them were actually led to develop and not given out earlier than they should be. Jim, you were just telling me off the air about, and just to summarize, about an instance where a storyline kind of got tossed out before it could even develop. A rather memorable one.
Yeah, case in point, Christian, the Royal Rumble, what was it, last year? No, this year. This year's Royal Rumble, where you had Matt Hardy lose the ECW title, which I have my own issue with that match, but I'll say that for another rant. And then you also told then he beat up his brother Jeff. Well, why did Matt Hardy do it? Because there was all kinds of Christian chants going on. Christian would have presumably come out and attacked Jeff and ended up possibly, for all we know, he could have ended up teaming up with Edge again. You know, and I'm sure a lot of you people were either wanting an Edge first Christian or an Edge first Christian or even an EMT reunion. Well, that couldn't happen because everybody and their mother knew about it. Somehow we saw. Now, granted, did it look like it was a Christian? You know, it was a catapult to Christian. Yes, but just leave it at that. See where it goes. Who knows? Maybe it would have been. Maybe it was supposed to be Matt Hardy all along. We don't know that. We'll never know that because everybody and their mother knew. Oh, here comes Christian now. I think. I don't remember all the people. Which is good because, like, oh, okay, who's going to be the guest for free? Just before Austin's song hit, just before the glass shattered, you hear a 316 chant. That just blew, in my opinion, that blew any shock value that you could have had.
Now, with the before the glass shattered, I'm not saying they didn't know, but wasn't it at a time? Now, correct me if I could be wrong. I'm just making conversation, but wasn't it at a time where the fans could expect Austin to come out?
He wasn't as regular. He was an irregular wrestler. He was coming out every now and then. It's just that I'm sure they knew that Austin was supposed to be there that night. But, you know, how do you know that he's coming out that moment? You know what I mean?
Oh, I hear you there.
That's what irked me. It's like, well, wait, you knew Austin was coming out. So, really? I mean, it seemed like on cue. Last one out. 316, bam. You know, wait and see is all I'm saying. You know, that would definitely help things. And then you got a lot of people who probably bitch that, oh, there's no shock value. Well, spoiler sites cause no shock value.
Alright, could we open up the argument this way and tell me if I'm completely wrong? Because despite what people think on these videos, I would love to be, and consider this my open challenge to anyone. All the people we're poking fun at, and we still have 7 minutes to go, so don't think we're anywhere near done. Or 8 minutes, rather. Sucks to be you. I challenge any of you to argue it. Like, if this is what we wanted, we would have... For example, when I want to know something backdated on wrestling, I call a friend of mine. Now, I'm not saying I want to cease and desist because it would be literally impossible. But how do you yell in the same breath, like you've heard me bash the promotions, you've heard us bash the promotions, you've heard our arguments on certain things that they do and are doing. But to a certain degree, how do you continue to yell at the companies for producing predictable things, but then something that we might not know about, or something that once it happened might have been an element of surprise? What inclines you? Now remember, you're the same person that said, oh, it's too predictable. What would incline you to post results? Spoilers do nothing except exactly that. And as I'm sure there's many of other instances that you'll touch on, sometimes it spoils, I want to say, runs within wrestling companies, would you say?
Yeah.
It basically puts your companies in a position where if you already know what's going to happen, how the hell are they supposed to surprise you? Like, if this is the way you want to play it, and you want to play one step ahead, fine. Then stop asking for unpredictability in your wrestling, because you obviously really don't want it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, no. I mean, that's one of the things, prior to, I loved what I could see at the end of the Nexus thing. And when I get the chance to catch up, I'll be sure to watch it all. I mean, I know a little bit. I didn't want to, but what made it that night, when NXT came out and ran rough shot over Cena and the straight at society and threw up the ring, what made that moment great was I didn't see it coming.
Nobody did. It made it look like the old school feel, and we talked about that for weeks. We're still, just point in case, we're still talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, the holy shit moment when NXT kid comes in and just throws rush shot everywhere. It's like, whoa, where did this come from?
Nobody knew about it. It had the old school feel to it.
It was borderline what the end of it should have did, and we'll get on that rant later, I'm sure.
And exactly what we're saying. It was exactly what we wanted. And I want to say, I could even be going out on a limb here, and I want to say that some of us might have even thought it was real for how random it was.
Uh-huh. I'm sure there was people in the audience that were like, oh my god,
What
is this...
what did you have in the end? You had your headliner, your WWE poster boy, through a table, did you not?
Yeah, through a table. You also had the ring being torn up, which unless you can correct me if I'm wrong, because the one thing that I've always found in wrestling is, yeah, I usually am, is it was the first time I'd ever seen a ring torn up like it was. Like the canvas was lifted off and such. The last time that we've seen a ring destroyed was probably, like the Brock Big Show, which we all know was pretty planned, but so was this. But this one looked more legit, like even more legit. Yeah, sure, Brock Big Show looked awesome, but it pales in comparison now to this. And with like you were saying, there's many instances where a little bit of element of surprise would go a long way.
What I was getting at though is my statement earlier might have made it sound like, oh, everybody should keep their mouth shut and stop complaining. I'm not entirely saying that. I'm not saying that. But
Right.
I'm not entirely saying that. But you people that hop on and say, oh, you stopped watching because it's too predictable. Well, here's an instance where this is an issue. When companies have to dodge around you, the fans, because you, the fans, have gotten, first of all, leaked information, and if you don't think the way WWE handles things now is a direct result of what you've been doing, you're sadly mistaken. Everything comes from, trickles down in house, and if it's leaked any earlier, it comes back to bite that said person. You guys get these leaks and then run with it. And for people that wanted to wait and see, maybe I liked my Raw or my SmackDown last week and wanted to see where SmackDown was going to put up this week. I can guarantee you, come, I want to say that, what are they? They film on Tuesday, but it comes on Fridays, right?
Right.
All right. I can guarantee you by 8:30, or yeah, well, if your bell time's 7, 9 o'clock to be fair. By 9 o'clock Eastern time, someone will have SmackDown spoilers, and it's instances like this that do away from the storytelling process I was talking about in the last installment. Of, we're not going to follow it if we already know what's going to happen.
Hmm. And, like, now granted, I can understand, like, I can understand, hey, you're probably not going to be able to watch said show, okay, because of some outside instance, like maybe you're not going to be able to see that show because you're going out, like you have plans that night. That's fine. I also have a problem.
Well, no, I have a problem with that because God made DVR. I don't care if they say the cable company did. In my opinion, God did. God made DVR. But I'm
Yeah,
not
there you
saying
go.
that because some people don't want that luxury. So I get your point there. But even with what I just said, you could DVR it. These spoilers are kind of needless.
Yeah, they are actually. You're absolutely right. I mean, I DVR. Now, when I had cable, all I would do is just DVR. So this way, come Sunday, I could catch everything. But I digress. And like, they're so pointless. They're obnoxious. You know,
Correct.
they go in there and then they rant and rave how this is going to happen, that's going to happen. It's like some of us just don't want to hear it. And where it really hurts is when you're at the arena. You'll see signs of people, sometimes the signs are off, like, say, the Sting, sign that was completely random.
Spoilers don't do anything but spoil the product for people that don't want it spoiled. If you have a spoiler, keep it to yourself.